there?
I went down to Delta and got what needed.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, and you got the drawing done as well?
Yep.
And Arlene, you do the same? Yeah, good. So every time we're gonna do this class, and oh, there's Susan. You know, we just have to, I will send you the image, of course. I mean, this week, because we're kind of starting, so I'm not gonna send you a whole bunch of them. So you're getting the Rooster. So what you can do, this is the thing you can do. You can actually print it, right? Print it to an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And then just, and then if you want it bigger, you can just go to staple and enlarge it, right? To the size you want to fit the paper. So you don't necessarily have to do the same size. I mean, if you want to do small, that's fine too. Okay, so it's whatever you're comfortable. We only have some students that occasionally want to do really large ones. So then they will take that photocopy and then they make it into like 200% larger or something. So then they can trace it. Okay, so welcome, Susan. And we're just going over some of the stuff here. So you got all the stuff done, ready to go? Yeah, you have your supplied and everything?
Yeah, everything's good, yep.
Okay, lovely. Okay, so you have taken classes from me before, right?
I took one.
Yeah, so you have, I got your email, we talk about it. Yeah, all the stuff will be fine because they just want me to send a supply list because we have new people joining and stuff like that. So,
okay.
all right.
And Jack and Celia are coming.
Okay, perfect.
There's Celia.
There's Celia.
Hello.
Hello, hello, long time no see.
That's right.
It's like it's almost a year. Well, yeah. It's crazy, eh? The world turned upside down. You just never know. It's just like the alien has arrived.
It's here for a while yet.
Yeah. And we have, who is this gentleman here? Jack?
Yeah.
Yes, here.
Hi, Jack. How are you? Good, good. We're just starting. So, and Ruth is our host here. We'll take care of the rest of it. I don't know if she has any announcement to make or not.
Nope, just have fun.
Oh, okay. So the other thing is in order to improve the quality of the video or the recording during the class, you should mute yourself, and also if you want, turn the video off, or doesn't matter, you know, you can just stop it. So then the recording will run smoothly. Okay, and just turn it on anytime you have a question. Just turn it on, and then and it's not a huge class. Sometimes we have 30 people on it, and if all 30 people are turning everything on, it can slow things down a bit. Okay.
Who is our Brian Dunsmore? Who is that?
Brian?
Oh, Ruth, that's my husband. So I'm using iPad. Yeah, it really knows. And that's I never take a picture off, but there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Francis.
I was just wondering.
Yeah. He looks like a guard, you know, just watching us.
Yeah, he's very stern in that picture, I said.
Okay, so I'm going to switch my camera so that you can see my picture on the table here. Unfortunately, sometimes when I use my pencil, and today's really light, and then you can barely see the rooster, but it's there. So I will occasionally I'll bring it up this way, and then you can see it. And if you can't certain detail, I will just do it on the larger on a piece of paper so that you can see. Is this me or just can you see the line at least? Barely, right?
I can see it fine.
Yeah, you see? Okay. And now sometimes the reflection, how the paper sits and stuff. But in any case, it's pretty easy. You know, I will make sure that if I can look at my screen and if I can't see it, I'll just lift it up a little bit. So we're going to start with something really simple to start. And there's no taping whatsoever. We're just going to go ahead and paint the grass in front, and then you work your way into it. Okay. So on your palette, if you don't already have put the color out, this is the time to squeeze out some of the color on your palette. And as you can see, I have a dirty one, and I have all my greens here, and my dirty blues and purples and grays, and my blues over here, red over here, and all sorts of nasty color here. Okay, so I already give it a little squirt of water so that it's easier for them to move around. And all you have to do is take your green, and of course we're gonna, you can mix up the green. So for example, if you get the supply, you're most likely just gonna get sap green, but you can also add a touch of yellow to it. And when we say adding, I want to draw this so that you can see it. Okay. So when we say add mixing colors and all that, let's say this is your sap green, and then you have a little yellow here, a little blue there. We don't just go and mix them all up and make a big giant stew, You just go and pull with a wet brush and pull a little bit of the paint out a little bit here. So you got your little bit of a sap green here, and then you go and touch the yellow a little bit and pull it in, and then you mix. So now you get a new color here, right? So then you go, oh, I kind of like to turn that into a little more green. Then you just pull it over here, pull and make a little puddle, and then you bring in the blue, and then you see what I mean? So then you end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus more colors. It depends on how you mix it. But if you were to say, oh, I want to make this a different green, then you do the sap green and the yellow, mix it together, then you only get one color, And if you look at the picture, there's all kinds of interesting colors. So you always touch a little bit here and there, just to give you a new shades of green, or okay. So I'll just show you on my palette here. You can see my palette, right? So so the nice things about watercolor is that we don't need to clean it. It's just good. So you're just gonna touch here and touch there, and you can see it on the screen and say, oh, that's a nice green. So then you just directly go into the grass, okay? One stroke, and then you get it in there. And then of course, I only drew a few grass here for you to get started. So don't worry, you just on the blank part, you're just gonna go, oh, I want one blade of grass here, and maybe all the way down here. See, just keep going like that, okay? And it's really easy. It's you don't really need a experience or skill to do this. All you have to do is just take a brush like this. Hold it up here so that you can see better. Just put it down on the tip on the grass and go push the size of the grass, and then lift. And then here's another one, and then another one. So this is a time where you go and say, okay, now I change a little bit of color. So I'm going to add a little bit of bluey, greeny color into it. And now I'm going to go and do this one and go one. Okay, so you see how now the color changes a little bit, slightly. So you just keep doing that, and go over here. Here's another blade of grass, another one. So how we're going to do this is that we're going to do all the positive of the grass first. And then later on, when this is slightly dry, I'm going to cross it. And then when you cross, you get all the little space in between the grass. And then that's where we're going to do some negative painting. And it's going to be slightly darker color. Okay, so it's very simple. You don't think too hard. You just put it on. I'll just put it on the table here to show you. So I'll go, oh yeah, let me put one blade of grass here. And this one, oh yeah, there's a feather in front. So I'm going to stop and then just go like this. And then down. See? So then I'll go and do all the pencil line one first. If I have them penciled in, I'll just go ahead and do like that. You can always go over one more time. If you say, oh, I don't like that color there, I want it a little bit more blue, then you can just go and add a little bit of bluey, greeny color, whatever to it. See, just like that, right? And if you want it darker, of course, you just go over it one more time and it will be slightly darker. So you can see how it started like this. Simple enough, right? It's very easy. So we wouldn't start anything hard, of course. We'll just make it easy for you. Okay. There we go. And I just presume that Ruth, that it's recording. I don't see anything up here, but okay. So we're just gonna do a few more of these, and make sure that you don't hesitate. Just put it on, and then down and lift. Here's another one, cut across here. So now I'm gonna.
Willie, I am recording this session.
Okay, good, good. So that I know when to put my filter on. It's a joke. Okay, so we're just gonna continue to say, oh yeah, there's bead of glass. Well, turn it here. And of course you can see the picture. It's everywhere and everywhere. So you go down, push, cross if you have to, cross. You must, of course, later on when it's dry. Sometimes you can do the cross when it's still a little damp, but that's okay. You know, you say, oh yeah, I want one right there. And let's go, oh yeah, it's not dark enough. So I'm gonna go over one more time. And then another one in front, cut across. So this is what I mean by crossing, and then you're gonna end up with all these little spaces in between, right? So let's see if I want to put another blade of grass here and another one here. So eventually you see, you know, they're going all direction. So occasionally check your picture and then you go, oh, I realize that there is a little bit of brown blade of grass. Sure enough, you can just go and get some brown and you have your burnt sienna. So you can mix your green to your burnt sienna, and let's put one in here so you can see it. So now you got a blade of grass that is a slightly different color. Okay, so is that easy enough? So Jack, have you been painting?
I took a introductory course 35 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then I've tried to paint a number of times off and on in those years. When I was working, you know, time always interfered with it.
Yes, of
So-
course. Yes.
So I have tried, I have a bunch started, couple finished over
Oh,
those
good.
35 years.
Well, you're welcome to bring it to show us, and then you know we can look at it and see what we can do or cannot do. And today, you know, the reason why I asked is I thought maybe you spend all your time reading all those books behind you. You wouldn't
do.
have time to write, to paint.
I do. I do read a lot, but in spurts. I read or I work on stained glass or I paint.
Oh, okay, well, that's perfect. So I was just explaining before you came in, you know, when we have a class and you will be getting another image and I will send it to Ruth and then Ruth will send it to you guys. Unless Ruth sent me all your email, then I can just send it directly to you for the next project. We have 6 classes. Most likely we're going to do between 4 and 5 projects. Okay. And we'll get things started. So when I show you a blade of grass, that means that all the rest of the grass are more or less the same way. So you know how to paint it, right? So when you have time at home tonight and you go, okay, yeah, I started with the grass and then go, oh, I don't like this one. I want it a little longer, just at the end, push and then extend it, right? And then you can say, oh yeah, put one more here, constantly changing your color. Get different more interesting green in there, and then just keep going. All right, see, you can do it from top down, or you can do it from the bottom up. It doesn't matter. Just keep going like this. Okay, so that's what and then we'll explain a little bit about the one at the back. They're less detail, and we'll go there. So I'm gonna give you a few seconds to try that. And if you have any question, anytime, right? This shouldn't be hard at all. So you just keep adding to the front here, more grass. Maybe we should do some more brown. So then you can touch the brown a little bit and yeah, just cut across it. Don't worry about them overlapping and stuff like that. That's what we want. Okay, do another one over here. So with the grass, we don't need to draw all of them. I just kind of show you where they are at in the beginning so that you can just go from here. So now you can see there's a whole bunch of grass growing here. And I'll just continue with some shorter one in front, you know, maybe darker, shorter, like that. Just keep going until you minimize all those white spaces. Okay, so that's that. All right, so, and we're gonna leave the brush with the green. You don't need to wash it out. Usually you have more than one brush, I hope. So then what we're gonna do is we're gonna give the rooster a face. You know, we're gonna actually give it start with the face. So usually when we paint animal, we want to spend time doing the eyeball. So I'm gonna draw one here. If you haven't seen a rooster close up recently, I'll just draw the eye. It's very simple, really. You know, I actually brought some out. If you have your phone at home, if you want to bring some image out, you know, it's really quite cool. Now, see, this is one that I saw at this lovely big giant rooster head. They're actually very wrinkly and bumped, but then we're doing some small picture like that. We don't have to worry about all the super detail on it, okay? And as you can see, the eyeball is like this. There's always a dark middle and then with a little shine. So we're gonna paint it like this, the black first around and leaving a little white, one light or two light, depends on where you want it. You can put it to the top, you know, to really on the top. Sometimes you even go like this and then not a full black, but you know, you have a light opening here like that. And then the pupil will go around, and you see that area here, the white there, that's red, okay? It's the red color there. And then they have this wrinkly line, you know, kind of not a complete circle, but it is kind of dot around it. So it's all the wrinkly. So this is like the three things that you need to do: the middle, the pupil, and then here's the iris, right? And then the folded skin around the eye. And the only thing that, you know, it's not on a sheet of paper because the picture is so small, you don't have to worry about it. There's the ear. The ear usually sits behind the eye here a little bit like that. Okay, so if you were to see this, and then we're gonna paint it. So I'm gonna take a little brush, smaller brush, and I'm gonna do the eyeball, exactly what I said here. So we're gonna pick up some black. And you know that with watercolor, sometimes you put it on one coat, it may not be the color you want. You know, you have to wait for it to dry and then do a second coat. And that's how we get it, the intensity of the color. You know, it's a mistake to try to get it right the first time. It just won't happen and it won't be pretty. Because when you do layering, and sometimes we call it glazing, then your blade of grass, your feather, your whatever will look more interesting with multiple colors in it. So it's a tiny little eye. So make sure that you have a nice pointy brush with steady hand. Pull your glasses forward a bit so you can see. And then we're gonna do the circle with a little white in the middle. And then the iris around, the red part, and then the loose skin around. Okay. So that's what I got here, tiny little, like that. See, the eyes in, right? So it's really not hard to do. You just have to follow what I show you here. You know, the black in first, save a little white, and then lovely clean line to go around for the red color to go in later on, and then the little wrinkly, funny looking skin around it. That's it. See how simple that is? So now we have that secure, which is good. And then we're gonna go ahead and, if you only have a couple of brushes to work with, clean it up, and we're gonna go in and put red in there. So what kind of red? Well, if you only have one or two red, that's okay. You just keep adding a little bit of yellow to it here and there, and you will change to red again, okay? So I have, of course, you always, when you paint, you always want to have one brush that is just a water, so that we can actually put water on to wet the area if we need to, and then we can just put color on top. So here's my red brush, and this is my water brush. So my water brush go right onto the comb in the middle. Just put a little bit of water there. Once I put the color on, you can see it. So I just grab some red here that I have, and then just to see, down red, 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 you know, like that. Just cover the comb, and you see how the inside where this water is starting to bleed into it. Perfect. That's what we want. You know, so it will be lighter. So now I'm gonna go and take a touch of blue and add it to my red, and then when you very little blue, so then you can see turn into some kind of a burgundy red color at the end there, right? So now they have different shades, you see, like that. Okay, so let me know if you cannot see, because you know, this is pretty light here, but I'll try to bring it up so that you can see. So I'm just painting the comb. Now, the interesting thing about watercolor is that we love our sky hole. The sky hole are those little specks of white that we didn't paint, skip. That's the sky hole. And usually it happens in between like tree branches, you know, when you have light coming through those leaves, and those were the tree holes. So what we use it to describe any kind of dry spot on the piece of paper, that's the sky hole. So I continue, it's still damp. I'll just continue to put all my lovely, lovely red all the way up above the beak here. And then I can just keep adding because it's moist now. So if I want it slightly darker in some area, I'm just gonna put a little blue, and then you can see that the color will be slightly darker so that it looks like this, right? See how I'm dropping the dark color at the end here, and then it melt into the red. It will just make your red looks very beautiful and solid, you know. So you have your regular red here, and then a touch of red and the blue on the corner. So anytime you want to make a darker red, you add blue or purple to it, okay? And you will just make it slightly darker. So we just continue to paint, and if you look at the picture, and wherever there's a little dark color somewhere, you're welcome to take that bluey. It's almost like a alizarin crimson. You can use the alizarin crimson with a little bit of, with a little blue, then you see. I'm just doing very slowly so that you can actually see it, okay? So we continue on, and then of course, now you can see the, around the eye area, the dark colors start from bottom here. Is this, what do you call this? What do you call this piece of loose skin on the bottom here? Something wobbler, whatever.
Wattle.
Wattle. Yeah, so you put that in there as well. And you can paint the whole entire two pieces together, and then we're going to divide it after. Okay, so again, lovely red. Pick your red. You can mix it with brown, with yellow if you want it to be a cadmium red. Just cover it up like this. If you can leave a, you know, sky hole, if you don't like it, cover it up a little bit. Then you don't have all those little specks on it. A few here and there is perfect. So we're gonna let it dry because there's two of them. So we're gonna go behind one of them and make it darker, and then just separate. And I'll show you in a second. So the rest of the face is actually lighter red. So let me put my darker red, you know, there's a little darker color towards the end here. So I'm gonna put a little dark here for now. See, okay, it's coming, right? So now we can take that red and then smear it onto a palette just to get the lighter color, adding water. I can even move it into my yellowy area here to get it peachy color. So the same idea again. Okay, your water brush, and then I'm gonna go carefully around the bottom part of the eye. Ooh, there's black in here. Okay. Just put a little water there, and then I take my peachy, kind of a reddish pinky color, just to put it there. Yeah. See, the color now it's a little lighter. So just look at the picture and say, oh yeah, there's more red here. I'm going to put a little red there. And then if anything that is too much, you take your water brush and vacuum it off, and it will be fine. Okay, very little bit around the top of the eyelid here, but mind you, every rooster is slightly different. So if you accidentally put a pink in the wrong place, it'll be fine. And see, so now the face is coming, right? And we're gonna let the rest dry first, and then we're now going into the beak. So you can take that little bit of a pinkish color and add a little bit of brown to it, or any dirty color. We just want to have a little gray color so that we can actually see where the beak is. So the beak actually really neat. I'm just gonna draw here again. You know, you have your midpoint, and then the one coming down from here, from the comb here, like this. And then there's actually like there's a little V, a pointy, like an arrow pointing this way. And then of course the bottom one. And usually the bottom one is slightly smaller. This piece here is, you know, slightly smaller. See, like that. And then of course, you know, there's a nose, a little bit of a breathing hole here that you sometimes see, you sometimes don't see, but it's right there, right up on top of the beak there. So we don't have to worry about too much of the detail. You just take your brownish gray, whatever color you want, and then just draw in, carefully draw in the beak. So now you got the beautiful an outline of the roosters. The face is almost done, see? Right? So then anything else you need to darken and enlarge, you can do that after when it's dry. So we draw the outline, put the outline on the beak, and we'll let it dry for a bit, and then we're going to put the colors in there. And usually there are sort of like a what would you call, like a yellow orangey, like this. If you haven't seen a close-up of a rooster, you see like this kind of color, right? Okay. So we will wait for it to dry, and then we're just going to fill in this area. And you can see the top of these one have a little bit of more brown. So it depends on what they're eating, I guess. All right. And you can see the nice little hole here for the nose. This is the breathing hole right here. Right. And then the ear, and you can see the tuft of hair just behind the eye here. That will be the ear, okay? And you can see the skin extended all the way up here, and then you know that there's all kinds of rooster. They have different way of growing this thing, I guess. Okay, so now see the head is done. We're gonna have done, and we're gonna let it dry before we're gonna play around with it. So the next thing we need to do is look for all the dark color on the rooster. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to our old brush with green. And then this is slightly bigger. So I'm going to find my black. And then, of course, always make sure that your water brush is nearby. And then you look at the picture and you can see right on the chest here, there's some beautiful dark colors starting at this point. So we're just going to go ahead and put dark. Now, interesting thing with black color. You don't normally just using black, like straight black. You can always add a little bit of blue to it, or purple to it, or any color you want to make it more interesting. So in this case, I'm going to add a touch of blue just for the fun of it. Blue and black mixed together. And then when you put it on, and it will actually look a lot more like darker. Okay, so as you see how we're just going to use a little bit of water to help it here and there. And then what we're doing here is what we call the negative to to bring out the feather. You see, you have light feather on top. So then we're just going to go and paint the dark. And then here's the blade of grass that we put earlier on. And we're just going to stop right there. See, normally we will block it, but that will come later. Okay. So continue on, black, dark color, feather there, negative here, and carefully go around, right? And then you can see there's small grass growing on the bottom. So I'm just going to end it like that. Carefully go around the grass to make it nice and clean. Here's some more black, so on and so forth. So you can see the color of the black is coming in beautifully to bring out all this beautiful chest feather here. So I will continue on in a second here, but on top here, there's still a little bit of color, a little bit of black here and there. So you can just put a few lines like this, okay? Few little line, and then just use a wet brush to smear it. Then you get the lighter color of, see, right? So using the water to smear. So I'm gonna put it on a piece of paper if you can see. Sorry, Francis, that we have to go into detail like that. I know that you, Francis here is the pro here, and she's joining us today. I guess she
No,
had,
it's good review, Willie. I'll never worry about that. I gotta always learn.
yeah. Okay, so this is what we call the solid brush, a solid paint, solid. And then of course, if you do the wet on wet, just a little revision. So wet on wet is you put a bit of water, and then you put your dark color in, so that it bleed like that. Okay, it just kind of go fuzzy like that. Or you do what we call paint and pull. So you paint, and then when you pull, you can either pull on the side. So then one side of the color will be solid, nice and beautiful edge. And then you pull on the other side. So then it looks like this, right? And you can also have paint and pull that you pull the tail. So you pull here, and then the color disappear and then become lighter like that. So that's all the paint and pull. Sometimes, we will do paint, and then you just pull on both sides gently, like that. And it's not quite the same as this one, because it's going crazy, but because when you pull, you can actually see a little bit of outline there, a hard edge there. So with the chest of this rooster, I would then put a little bit of black color here and there, just a touch here and there, just a little stroke. As you can see, it's so tiny. Yeah. And the nice things about pulling it is that then it will give you this lovely gray color, right? So like that, so that ambiguous kind of light, you can pull it a few more times so that you can see it becomes like this. See, it's no more solid. So that you can tell that some of the feathers are lighter color. So you can see it happens all around, really on the bottom part of the white feather there. So you can just go ahead and go paint, little stroke, 1, 2, or 3 of 2, 3, 4 of them, it doesn't matter. Then you take your wet brush and go pull here and then pull there. And when you pull it, your brush will then pick up certain color, right? So make sure the movement of the feather is correct. As you can see, it kind of runs from here towards the chest, and then slightly straighter here. And then pretty soon you can see bend and turn to follow the contour of the neck there. So yes, we can just go ahead and little bit of black, doesn't matter. And then you take your wet brush before it dries completely, pull, and then when you pull, you pick up a little bit of color on your brush. Then that's where you continue to go and paint. And on top, now this is much lighter. So you got the very light gray color, medium gray, and then the super dark on the bottom. Okay, so then you can see that it looks very busy with all the things happening there. That's how you do it. So you go ahead, continue on later on when these go, oh yeah, I want one more here, a little bit more there, a little bit more there. Paint and pull. Okay, so then you use a dirty brush to continue to do long stroke here and there, just to give you a little bit of, hint of color going up into the top. So make sure you're turning here slightly so that you follow the feather. Paint, pull. So you put a very little bit, not too much, right? Just a little bit of color, and then just keep pulling, just keep adding to the rest of them. And then pretty soon you see it's just looking really nice and soft like that. Okay, so you can see it's not really that hard to do. We just one part at a time, and then you just go. Yeah, the most difficult part with the Zoom class is the drawing part, because when I was in-person class, I have a nice 11 by 17 printout, and so the size of the 11 by 15 sheet of paper. And then we all stand by the window, or if I get them for homework, then they can go home and put it next to the window with this piece of paper on top. And then you can trace the whole thing out, right? So I'm going to continue with a little bit of the black. Now here, the interesting thing is that I forgot maybe to draw out all those little marking. There's some little white, white feather. So you just go ahead and okay, there's a white there. Just put a little bit of a square there, Oh yeah, there's another one here. And you know what, if you place it slightly different than the other people, that's okay. I mean, this rooster, the feather is very unpredictable. So as long as we have a little bit of white left behind on the feather here, that will be perfect. So a little bit of white there, I can see, and maybe a little bit there. It's almost like a little rectangle, on it, but it's just part of the feather. And mind you, this rooster was supposed to be pretty loose going here. It's so you don't need to wear the super detail. So now I have those little square positioned. Then I can go comfortably in and carry on with all my dark color. Occasionally, you can take your wet brush because you don't want them solid black. It look, boring that way. So you can put a little bit of water there, and then you just take your black and continue. And then you got this beautiful little highlighted area, perfect. And so continue on here in between the grass, right? And then just over here, continue here. And then at any given time, if you want to create a new blade of grass, I want you to see here, there's a white blank right now. So I'm gonna do my black like this. Here, and skip to the other side. So now I have a little pointy area here. That will be the beginning of another grass, okay? So that's negative painting. So continue on, go around this nice, lovely feather here. Maybe some of them should be very bigger than the other one. Now I'm coming up to the little white little feather here. So go skip around, go around those white, and with a little bit of water brush, and just go, if you leave some accidentally, you leave some white here and there, that's perfect. So as you can see, there's nice dark color towards the inside part of the rooster here. Okay, so I'm gonna hold it up so that you can see what I mean by lighter colors and all that. So there's some lighter shades, and then there's black one and all that. All right, so you can see now the rooster is showing, and it's coming out nicely. So you can see there's just mostly dark color here, and then over here there's a lot of dark color, but with lots of highlight on the big tail feather there. Just wonderful. And we can actually do the same to these guys here. If you think, you know what, that black is a little boring and has a little bit of an opening there, a light area, then you can just put blue on top of those black. Put a little blue there so that you can see a touch of blue coming through. That's quite lovely too, as you can see. Well, you can't really see it from here. Any questions so far? Yeah, if not, just carry on with the black. Anyway, I already have these white all lined up, and of course I can create more white feather simply by just skipping like this. Then I say, oh yeah, there's 2 more white there. I mean, you can always cover it afterwards, so it doesn't matter. So continue on to here. More white feather. Go around it. Just keep going around until you filled up all the dark color. And then of course, if you want a little bit of blue color, that's fine. And if you want more negative of the grass, I'm gonna end here just to show you. Around. White feather there, maybe make it smaller, to it down. And now I can see that there's a beginning of another blade of grass here right in front of the rooster here, that I didn't have before. So now, of course, you can see that the dark color ends somewhere here. You see all the lovely white feather starting this long one down below here. So just do a mark here so that you know where it ends. So here is the end of the dark here. We can outline it just to guide you a little bit. And then there's a little dark here and there. Yeah, some more white feather here. And then the rest are all dark, maybe with a little bit of water, with a little bit of blue, however you like to do it. So fill it in. And sometimes if you put it in and the color is a little light gray, that's okay. Right now it's just the positioning where you're supposed to go with that. And then we can go back and again, just putting some more dark color here and there just to make it nice and dark. So yes, you can see I'm putting some dark here, dark there, dark there. Okay. Like I say, it's feather is really, you know, flexible. You don't need to follow exactly, but as long as you have some of the white there, it's good enough. And then you can see these are all the white feather that's showing up, you know. And then this is white feather, and we're gonna stop from there. And I can see that I'm missing a line here where the end, where the black start. So it's starting somewhere around here, like that round little bum, like that, and then comes down. So these are all kind of beigey brownish color right there, and then the rest are all dark color. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a few seconds here to just fill it out, and then we'll talk about the tail feather. See, you can go back at any kind and just do some negative right on top of the body as well. Go around and you can show that there's some bluey feather there. Just here and there. And then while you're doing that and you're running out of space to do it now, then you can continue with those paint and pour. Now it's all dry now. So you just look around and say, oh yeah, there's a nice long one here. Paint, make sure your water brush is clean. And then just pull, paint and pull, 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 pull. Continue to this side here. They have a little bit of hint of gray color here. Paint, paint, pull, 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 pull. Paint, 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 and pull. Paint, paint. Oh yeah, there's some nice dark color in here like this. Paint, pull, pull, pull. Paint, pull, paint, pull. So then you got this beautiful, lovely color. Now I can see some actually coming out from the top. It's just a little bit of dry, probably skin. So I paint and pull around it too. Now the red is it's dry now. So we can just go and make sure you put those little marking here and there. See, it's lovely, like the gray color right underneath the water. There's a little bit of gray there. So paint and pull, you know, a little bit on top of the head here. Paint, clean water, pull some gray down here. Oh yeah, see, paint, pull, keep pulling it. And then a few little lines here as well coming down. Paint and pull, pull. Okay, so now you can see the chicken or the rooster is coming out quite nicely. So of course, you know, sometimes I'm really anxious to see, oh, now the red dries a little bit and then it's not red enough. So now what I do is I just go back in there and put some more red on top, you know, to make it even brighter. And also to make sure the dark colors stay dark around. And it's just mixing different blues with yellows and whatnot. And then you can see that this one I put on is more like a cadmium because they have a little yellow in it. So then your red looks a little bit nicer. So talk about the second half there. We want to divide. Do you remember there's two skin that hangs there? On the back of it, underneath the beak, I'm taking a little bluey purpley kind of a reddish color, so it's a darker color. And then I go behind that and make that piece a little darker red. So I don't know if you can see it. You can hold it up here. See that? It will be slightly darker, and then this will be, yeah. And then you can put the dark over here as well, just a little bit. Yeah. So you're only gonna make it better and make it nice and solid, right? So I go, oh yeah, around the face here, I'm gonna put a little bit more darker red, which is like alizarin crimson. Yeah. And I even want to say, oh, this comb here didn't look right, so I'm gonna add it a little bit to make it look longer. You know, my dad and his friend, when we were in Malaysia, they used to raise rooster for cockfighting. And I still remember they're very specific with the comb. They were even, when the rooster is pretty young, they will actually use a blade to shape this, to cut this comb so that it grows the way they want it. Yeah, so okay, so some more red here, a little bit of red there. And then at this time, the eyes are done. So I'm gonna take my little pale little red, not so super red like this red here, to go around carefully the eye, the iris here, little red. Okay. There. And then I'll add a little bit of, you can do dot, dot, dot too, because there's really uneven skin around the face. So, okay, so now the eyes, the red is in. Okay, so continue with the bottom. And I want to show you quickly one feather so that you can see how, how you can do that. Of course, you can come up with different ways of doing that. So there's a few main feather that come out of the rare here, and there's one here. So you just go and draw them out and say, okay, I don't see this very clearly. This is one giant feather. Let's make it into two of them there, and or maybe one. So here's the mid vein, or there must be a specific name for it. The feather. So we're gonna do half of the feather, one half at a time. So you don't do the whole thing. So you know how feather with the middle, with the, what do you call that thing? Anybody? Jack?
I think it's just called a rib. You mean the center of the feather?
Yeah. Is that called a rib?
I think so.
Okay, so because of that, you have two parts of the feather, right? So what we're gonna do is, treat this one. This is a one big feather here. So I'm just gonna do half. So I put a little bit of water in the middle, and the second you can see it. So then I'll just take my bluey black color, and then I go and outline these around the rib, as you can see, and then you just bleed into your water, so they will be lighter in the middle. Like that, see? Like that, very simple, so that we can have gray color in the middle, like this. See, that's the water that's doing that. And then occasionally, sometimes people love to just add some blue to it as well. So when it's still damp, you put a little bit of blue color in there so that it looks interesting, right? You can always cover that or minimize it if you want later on. So here's my one of the side of the feather. I'm just make it look cleaner. And then I'll do to the second half. I'll just go again, same thing. Water, little water in the middle. Then I pick up my dark color and go in, paint around the feather, let it bleed into the middle part so that it's be lighter. And then you can actually leave a little white so that you can see the rib there. We'll just call it rib. And you can use the water to blend again. See, blend, blend, blend. So then you got this beautifully lovely shine in the middle. And that's where, if you want, you can drop in a little bit of blue here and there, green even, because the feather of the, feather really reflects a beautiful lights, right? So you can see that this one feather is done, and it's not just one black, nothing. You got this light color in between, okay? And of course, if you want detail, sometimes you can actually put some lines in here just to make it interesting, like leaves, right? Okay, let's do another one. And if you can't see the feather, just go ahead and say, draw another one out and say, oh yeah, there's another one right here. And then this is the rib. And then this one here is really quite long and dark, so we're going to leave it like that. So I may have to just go and research a little bit with the tail feather and see how long. You know, this Russian rooster, they I don't know, it's just in Russia. They have tails like this, so like what, 3 feet long? Hey, have you seen those rooster? Oh, that would be so beautiful to have in your garden. Okay, so same thing. You know, the little one is easier to do. If you don't want to do half, you can do the whole thing because it's so small, like this guy over here, right? It's pretty small. So you can just wet a little bit and take your black and go in and start painting the dark area. Oh, I can see a little rib here. So black. Yeah, black, a little bit of rib showing, skip a little bit, and here's the rest of them will be black. And then, of course, you'll be a little highlight here and there. That's so perfect. We're going to leave it like that. See, now this one is darker, lovely. We like that. And then the rest of the feather the same. You just, you know, if it's too small, we don't even have to wet it. You're just going to paint it nice and dark like that. See, easy enough, right? Go paint, paint. And if you want to leave a little white in the middle for the rib, that's even better, right? So now I can see that the dark is beautiful. So I'm going to put this one here a little darker. So back to it again, wet a little bit in the middle and replace some of my dark because it wasn't dark enough, right? See, look at the rooster is coming out nicely, right? So continue with the tail. And if you want to, or you can just look around wherever there's dark color, let's put it in now, okay? And then we'll talk a little bit on the front here. So let's say here, there's a little bit of black, dark feather right about here. So we're gonna go and put a little dark here. Here. A little bit there. Now we can see that most of the feathers are in. And a few little here. And then we can still paint and pull them out to the body. Okay. So any big feather, do 2 stroke and leave the rib. So the rib will be slightly lighter in the middle. It will make it'll actually look pretty like that. So let's do another one so you can see what I mean. You know what I mean by doing 2, right? So let's say here on a piece of paper here, and this is your feather, like this, and the rib. All you have to do, sometimes you don't, smaller one, you don't need to put water. All you have to do is go put dark color on one side like this. And then you can turn the paper around carefully and then you paint here like that. So then it's just like a leaf like that. And then of course, some people like to use with a pencil and you can actually scratch. If you put in a few lines in there like that. But you don't have to worry about it. You can actually just take your brush and then put those lines in yourself a little bit. Okay, so let's do another one. If it's small, like I say, if it's small, we don't need to worry about wetting it or whatever. You just put side A, dark, and then next to the other side, you put it in and leaving the rib a little light line, white line in between and joint in the middle, like that. Okay. And then this one here, we don't know what it is, but we'll just fill it in. Because once you get all the feather going in all direction, you know, you wouldn't worry about counting them and stuff like that. Like for example, this one, I'm going to turn it upside down this way. There's a feather, according to the picture anyway, growing up like this. So I'm going to do half like that, the other half, and still leaving a little bit of white, and then okay. Okay, that's the funny feather growing out of place here. So then the rest, if you're not sure what it is, doesn't matter. Just put it in. If you want, put a little light line in between, then it will become a feather like that. And then the rest of the tail on the bottom here and the back, you can't really see the rib. You just go put it in, put it black in, and then they're all gonna come together. So you got the light highlight one and this big one, I'm gonna do the same, right? And sometimes you can darken one side of the feather and not the other side. It will be good. It showed contrast. There. So we're just gonna continue on and look for the dark color. You have your picture in front of me, in front of you. And then I'm gonna show you also the little bit of brownish color here. So I'm gonna get my red color brush and then put a little bit of burnt sienna, any brown that you can find, brown, reddish brown, orangey brown, doesn't matter. And then use your water brush, take your water brush and say, paint, 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 and pull. Just to add a little bit of beigey brownish color to the chest here. So burnt sienna, I think my burnt sienna is a little bright. I'm gonna just put a little bit more red into it just to make it redder. Oh yeah, like that, here and there. Just paint, paint, paint a little stroke. Water, 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 pull, pull, pull. Then you can start seeing that some feather is actually more brownish color. Lovely, that's what we want. On the chest here, maybe we'll put a little bit of brown feather down here. So it's entirely up to you how you want to put it, okay? So those little brownish color is in just here and there, like that. And I can see that there's some along here too. So I'm gonna just go paint, 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 pull, 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 before I put any dark colors there. So a little bit of brown here. And then there's some nice lovely brown down here as well. Paint, pull, paint and pull. It's your rooster, do whatever you want with it. Just make it look pretty. So paint and pull, lots of paint and pull here. So in order to show that there's lots of long feather around the neck here. Paint and pull, paint and pull. You can do gray, you can do brown. Okay, so I got some darker brown here. I see that there's some nice dark brown in here, in between here and there. So paint and paint. And maybe pull it out a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of brown here. Okay, so this one is more like a gray feather. Gray feather, dark. And long feather. Lovely long feather here. Quite light, so I'm just gonna do paint, draw a little line, and then just use a water brush to pull it. So then it's no longer black feather here, see, right? And then the rest is all negative in the back. So if you think that is too empty there right now, you can still put some grass there before you start doing all the other stuff. So we go back to my green, you know, because I didn't do all the blade of grass and say, okay, maybe we should put a blade of grass beneath this feather here. Go like that, carefully go around here and pull down and then make it nice and long coming up from the other end. So these are all the grass that I'm adding to the rooster here. It's wherever you want to put it. It's really, it's up to you, right? So now you can see I did it on like this so that the feather is going over the grass here. So more different greens, and put one right here. And then this one here underneath feather, another green. Oh, not dark enough. Another green grass growing down this way. And then grass growing up this way. Okay, so now you can see there's lots of crosses here. Look at all these little crosses, especially closer to the rooster's body. So we wanted to make sure that it's not too much gap there. And you know the body's going down, the legs are going all into here, so you don't really see the legs or anything. And all we have to do is just go right in here and start putting a little bit of darker color here and there, just to indicate that that's part of the rooster. Just like that. And then this really lovely dark color here too. So I have already created negative here for the grass. Go in between the grass and then putting some dark color here and there. Skip. Okay, remember we're talking about the skipping. If you skip, then there is another blade of grass happening there. Okay. And then over here, skip a little bit. And then you got 2 more blades of grass growing there. Maybe a little dark there, a little dark there. You want the rooster to continue like that onto this side here. And then in between all these, the same idea, dark, skip, skip. And then you will turn into the part of the grass as well later on. So if you don't want to use black, you don't want to use too much black below. Now what we're going to do is do a black, dark green, various shades of darker green, green, right? And then we're just going to go in and fill up some of this area here with various shades of green. So you don't really have to be careful at this point because it's just grass now. So you can see how I filled in between with darker color than the grass that you had painted. So this is the starting of the negative painting. So you see, this is a bluey green, more green, and more green here. See, the moment you put those dark green and make sure it's all dry, then the green that you painted before will then come up. The blade of grass will come up. And if you want to skip, you can skip. If not, just go ahead and paint them various shades of green. So this will take time. So you don't want to rush it. You just play with various shades of colors you got there. Okay. And then you just go ahead and paint, putting in the color. Anything dark, you can put it in later. Just make sure that the screens is slightly darker than the green you got on there. I just want to do this portion here so that you can see what I mean. See? So now you can sort of fill up quite a bit of the negative space, right? And then we're going to let it sit like that until later on we can go and darken some of this area. Like you can darken here because it's still wet. And then this one here, we can go maybe skip. So dark green, skip. Then you got this another white area, grass growing, skip over, carry over to the other side. And there, voila. So then over here, I'm gonna go like that. So that I have a little bit of white in between here again. So it's really quite flexible when you're doing grass. Any which way you're gonna do it, it's gonna be okay, all right? It's just the little technique that we use a lot, the negative painting in watercolor. Some people really have a hard time with it, but all it is just paint behind. So, we call it negative painting because we're not doing the positive part. The grass here we consider positive, and in between is the negative. Okay. So I'm just going to do a few more here. Any questions so far? Anything that you want me to show you again? I can do that. So I can see that there's some more hint of feather here. So let's go behind the feather and make it darker. Okay, so lots of feather coming down here, into the really nice dark in between. So I'm just going to go ahead back to what I was showing you with the feather. And this time, we just still have a few major ones that I want to show you later. But on the list one here, there's all this multitude of feather. All you have to do is look for one, just like the grass, actually. If you don't want to do the double, you just go put it down, push, and lift into the rest of the rooster. If it's something huge, then you want to do the half first, do the half, and then do the other half and leaving a little bit of rib in between like so. See? Like that. Then you got this white line in between. Yeah, I can see on the screen here, like that. So anything you don't like to do it like that, then don't worry about it. Just go one nice stroke right into the rest of the dark. If you want to do it a little rib, just leave a little bit of white line in there, and then you're good to go. Okay, so this here, dark feather, and yeah, nice. So dark in between, those dark feather, dark in between, in between. There you go. So we're going to go to the top here and say, oh yeah, that's beautiful. This is a beautiful rib there. Okay, so we're going to do that big one again using the water because it's big feather. We want a little bit of water in the middle so that we can see some shine in it. So here's the end of the feather underneath the grass here, up. And then here's the rib. So we're going to go, and then I'm going to drop some blues in here. Ooh, beautiful, nice blue. And second half, I may have to turn the paper here. And then the rib, skip and leave the white in between. All the way down here and disappear. And then the rest of the feather on this side. There. Oh, I like that blue. Very strong blue. So I'm going to put that in, glaze it over into the other feather. So you got this little green, a little bluey color in between the feathers there. Okay, so it's really important to make the dark. You know, this will make the roosters just look a lot more amazing. And I can see that my eyeball is a little crooked, so I'm going to carefully go in and make it rounder. Because that's the first thing you're going to see is the eye, right? There we go. Now he looks like very friendly now. Maybe a little mascara. Yep, too much. Lift it up. Okay, so continue with the feather one more time here so that we can see. Looks like there's another feather here with a rib. So go ahead. If you want to put water on one side, just a little bit of water. And then the black. Do the half first. This is the half. And the water in the middle. You turn around and then the water in the middle, make it look. And this one, I'm just go over the grass. And then on the other half, you leave a little white line, just down, disappear. And here's the, yeah. And then we fill in the rest of these white space. so that it looks fuller. And then there's a beautiful more feather down here. See, now you can just fill it in however you like. It doesn't matter. Leaving a little white here and there, because you know what, you can always change it. Oh, there's another feather here. Okay, so nice dark feather. One single stroke, it's in. One single stroke. And this one is high between the grass, so you have to do it half. Do this one first. Skip over. There. Now look at the tails are slowly filling up beautifully. We still have this gigantic one in the back there. So I want to make sure that these are all in properly. Yeah, so there's a lot of darks, little dark here and there. So paint and pull amongst the brown. So here's the, yeah, some of the unpredictable, kind of very ambiguous feather here and there. Paint, 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 pull. Okay. Well, that's a long feather over here. Paint, smear, and some dark color in between. Paint, 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 pull, paint and pull, pull, pull. Okay, so, and then a little bit of, maybe this time I should put a little bit of green. Ooh, green there. And gray, the gray goes into the green. Some green color. And this black goes all the way down to here. Lovely, see? Just go and keep adding. And then there's a little white tuft of feather on the back here. Too much of the white, get rid of some of the white. Darken second half of the feather here and there. See, just to make it look more interesting. If you darken half, then you can see there's a two sides to the feather. Right? Okay. Nice and rich color. He's a little handsome noodle, handsome rooster here. Okay, so I'm gonna do the tail here a little bit. And these guys are hidden in the back here. So if I wanted to be fancy, I can still do that. Each feather, you just put a little bit of greens or blue in it. And then you just take your green, the black, go and paint it around it. And then you get that beautiful shine in the middle. Yeah, this one here is all covered up. Covered up, covered up. There. Okay, so the last feather in the back there, we're gonna do in half, okay? See the middle line here? You know, the rib goes all the way down like this, kind of disappear in somewhere. So what we'll do is do the same thing. We just take a little bit of water, a little bit of green, a little bit of blue for the water. So then you can see it's lovely color there. Then I take my black, start, it doesn't matter where you start, you just go do the half. So I'm gonna go around and around next to the rib. And continue on, finish this side, leaving a little bit of blue and green in between. See, this one is not dark enough, so I'm going over one more time. And if it dries on you already, just take a little wet brush to put that bluey color, whatever color you want on it. And then you just go and put the black in. Like that, okay? So the second half, you can wait for it to dry a little bit before you go and play with it. Doesn't matter. You know, here I can see that there's all this beigey color in the feather here. Lovely. So I'm gonna just go and take some dirty beigey color and drop some color here and there. I like this little happy color, right? You know, maybe a little blue here. So it's really up to you how you're gonna put a little bit of color here and there. You know, it's just, it will be fine. And then we're gonna do a little bit more paint and pour here with a little bit of various color. Yellow, yellow, beige, pink, if you want. So let's do the other half of the big feather here. Same thing. I'm gonna take a little bit of green here and water, blue, whatever color you want. Yeah, put a little bit of blue there in the middle. Then you take your black color and then just go around and let it bleed into the greens and blues. Down. Okay, so now I'm gonna carefully go around here to leave a little bit of white in between. Just a little white, and then you don't have to see the rest of it. I'll just fill this up. Now you can see that, see the little white, the rib go around it nicely like that. Okay, and then the rest basically just almost the same. So we're gonna put a little blue here, and then I'll just drop in some black in there. And the blue is there, you can sort of see it, you know. So now you can just go and tidy up a little bit. Anything that needs to be a little bit more straighter and one side need to be darker, go for it. Just go and I think this green here is a little too much, so I'm gonna reduce it a little bit. There we go. And then the little feather in the back here, again, 2 parts, one, and then the other one with the little white in between here. This one, nah, don't worry about that. I added extra one there. And maybe this extra dark here. There, look at the rooster, it's almost done, right? So remember when I was playing a little of the beigey color here. So it's basically burnt sienna. Oops. Burnt sienna and a little bit of yellow or red, it doesn't matter. Just check it on your palette. And then you're gonna go and paint the bottom part of the beak first. See? All right. And then for the top part, we'll let it dry for a bit. Usually we put a little water, but it's so small, I wouldn't worry too much over it. We want a little highlight, so it's slightly lighter there, see? And then we're gonna let it go, come back later on to darken it, all right? So now, while everything is drying, waiting for you to go and check it later, then you can start going to the bottom again with various shades of greens and dark color. Now you see how this area that I filled in, this one especially, you can see even on my screen, I can see it. See one big little negative green here. So you take a darker green now, and for the negative darker green, you just go and skip it. So you go paint, and then you skip, and this add to kind of divide, you know, this area into smaller section. So here, for example, skip, carry it over, skip. Yeah, you can skip half, And then this is a big one. So let's skip that way. So here's my little triangle to start and skip. Now you see how in between now, it used to be just like that, flat nothing, right? This is flat nothing here still. I haven't divided it. But now look at this. I put a dark green and divide it and skip. Then you actually have 2 more blades of grass in between. So I'm going to hold it up this way so you can see it. So here's the big nothing here. And then I go, okay, I want to skip that way, sideways. So dark green, skip, and onto the other side. Then all of a sudden you see a blade of grass there, right? The same thing with this guy here. So I'm going to paint here, dark green. Stop here, skip, and then put another dark green on the other side. Now all of a sudden you see, more grass. So a lot of time you just go paint, skip, paint, skip. Then you will look very, very busy in there. That's what we want. Skip. Even this tiny little area here, you can still skip. There you go. Okay. I have a little bleed there, but it doesn't matter. So you can continue to go. And so the trick is in painting in between those grass, you don't want to go black all of a sudden. You want to go medium color first. So I'm going to show you again that right from the beginning and do a larger area that you can see. So let's say this area here, the negative space here, you decide that you don't want to do any more grass, but that you want to do more negative. So then you just go in between, taking a slightly darker color, mix it, you can have various shades of greens and whatnot. Then you paint carefully, go around this entire negative space. Just do a little mix. So a little mix is simply mean you mix the colors, different green. So this is your negative space that I'm just doing with all this lovely dark green, bluey green color. Down to below here too, I can do that. And when I say medium, this is actually darker than medium, that's okay. So now I'm going to make it even lighter. Okay, so here you fill out all this negative space, and then after it's dry, then you can do the negative painting. So I won't do them all. So what I'll do is we're going to do a little bit, and then if next time if you have questions, I can still do it, show you how to finish it up properly, because we have a lot of grass behind it to do yet. So yeah, if this will be a really good exercise for anybody who is getting back into painting, a little good exercise to do the negative painting. Okay, so look at all this little negative space. I'm just going to fill that with various color, and it's like paint it forward. If you paint it pink, this little negative space, then the future grass on it will be pink, because when you skip, and the pink will show up. So because we're doing grass, I'm just doing variety of green, so see, just fill that. That's easy enough, right, Jack? Paint and just fill it in. And these are the spaces that we have created by in the beginning, by crossing all these lovely grass. When you go cross like that, you will create all these little space in between. Okay, so I can see, I go, oh yeah, let's do one here. See, if I don't want it too big, I can just go and cross them, and pretty soon I have tons of them to work with. So over this side too, oh yeah, it's too pretty empty. Let's just put some more grass here, various green that we can find. And oh yeah, another one here, another one there. It doesn't matter how you put it. It's okay. See, this is a big blade of grass here. So then when it's dry, you got all this lovely little square in between to cover. And then after you cover it, it looks like this. And then I just showed you here, you divided it up. Then you will go from here, nothing, into very detail in between, negative space in between. Does it make sense? Okay, so we're doing pretty good here. So what time is it? We have half an hour, and then we're just going to show you a little bit of the back. So here's requires a little bit of planning. If you don't have steady hand and you don't want to ruin the head of the rooster, right? And this, I'll show you that. And I would then cover it. So what you need to do is get a piece of masking tape big enough to go over the entire head of the rooster, like this. Okay, then you take a blade. Some X-Acto knife, nice and sharp, and then carefully cut around it. If you cut it softly and carefully and gently, you won't cut through the paper. What you're gonna do is you're gonna just and you can peel it off. So you go gently, go around the comb. You painted already, so you can actually see where they are. Okay. You know, it was so funny. I need to put some liner in my cupboards. So I went to dollar store and found this lovely, lovely color piece of, you know, those roll of paper. I don't know, liner they call it, cupboard liner. And the flowers on this are so pretty. And I thought, I have a pantry that is so boring. It's white pantry. I thought maybe I'll just cut those little flower out and then I can just glue it onto the pantry. But it has adhesive on it. I only cut like 2 inches and I'm going to realize those are not really paper. They're actually plastic. That's why you put it in your cupboard so that if you have water and stuff like that, you won't ruin the paper, right? So there goes that big idea. Maybe I should take a scissor and go around each flower and cut it. And I thought I was smart enough, just 2 seconds into it, I'm going, no, this is a waste of time. Don't do it. So as you can see here, right? I put my tape around the rooster's head. It's perfect. So then, of course, some people will cover more. I don't need to, because then when I paint my green, go behind, I can just go crazy and not worry about the rooster's head being smeared or anything like that. So I'm just going to quickly show you on the side here how I would start. Okay. Now, for those of you, if you enjoy doing all these lovely grassy thing, and then you want to introduce more colors and different greens, by all means, just keep adding, see, like this. And you can see that there's grass growing up this way, that way, start at any point or whatever. But if you don't want to go that high up, then you can just stop. So I'm going to balance this side by putting a few on this side, like this. Yeah, so then you kind of let it dry, then you can just paint the rest of it. So now my rooster's head is protected. I'm gonna use my thumb or finger just to push the tape down so they stay put, because you don't want to leak underneath. So make sure check your masking tape that it's actually quite sticky. Otherwise you have problems there. So this is a large area to cover, but it's okay because this is going to be more like a background. And after we paint this area, and we can still come back and do some negative painting here. So I don't want it to be perfect, but I want it to be very beautiful, happy colors and greens. So you have your sap green mixed with a little bit of yellow and whatever color, just to make it nice and clean. Okay. So if you have a bigger brush, use a bigger brush. If you don't worry about it. All you have to do is check and say, oh yeah, my brush is dirty here. let me see what kind of green I got. See, I don't even have to worry about where I start. I just want to do a little check on what color greens I'm gonna have to put on here. So then you can go behind those grass I just painted. Yeah, see, I just painted here. So I'm just going around the rooster because I have no tape there. Okay, and kind of go, oh yeah, that's a lovely warm color. So occasionally, of course, you can just put other color in there as well. See, go behind the grass here. So of course, you know, you need to mix a big puddle for these. So I'm not going to worry about the bottom. I just going to do the top part here. So this is how you get started with the background. Lots of water and lots of juicy paint like this. And then with your salt in hand, you can then salt it and whatever you want with it. So look at this color, it's really healthy. I like that color, right? So stay with that. There's actually have some hooker's green or something like really nice bluey green. So if you don't have it sap green, add a little bit of blue to it to make it more. See now, look at the rooster here. I don't need to worry about carefully painting around it, right? You just go crazy, dropping some maybe slightly darker. So look at this is all wet, and then you can just keep going. Okay, so you have see how you have to go all the way down. So spend some time to just continue them like that, right? And this doesn't take long to do. You just go continue to drop fancy color that you got if you want. See, right? It's hard to see on the screen here, but it's actually green. All right, so various shades of green. Oh, this is nice and dark green. If you accidentally put it, just put the water and smear it a little bit, you know, there you go, right? Now, and if you have an emergency, this is what I'm gonna show you. It applies to a lot of picture in the future if you need to do. So somebody at the door and you deliver it and you have to sign it, just quickly take a wet brush and then finish it like that. If you don't have time to finish it, you just take a wet brush and wash it off. Can you see? Just water and then let it wash and melt it into it. So then when you come back, continue on, you won't see a joint line there. Okay. Now, of course, this is still damp. So what I'm going to do is I like salt. So I'm going to sprinkle a little salt here and there, just a little bit, not too much. The problem is that people over salt and then it just look terrible after, right? So I'm good. I'm happy with these colors so far. You know, I might want to make it a little darker on the bottom here. So I'll just go in carefully because we didn't have tape over the rooster's front part there. And then some of these grass we didn't tape. So I'm just gonna go in with a dark green and say, oh yeah, put a little dark green here, a little dark green there. And then later on, the same green, and then the same green later on will go back into the bottom, you know, see? Then you can paint all the negative space later on. So you just worry about this part for now, okay? So I'm gonna darken a little bit here to match it a little bit. And I kind of like that color. Just make sure that everything is nice and even. All right, there. No more white spot here and there. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. Okay, so now I'm gonna ask you guys if you have any question at all. Okay, Francis, come on. We need to see yours. So make sure that you always have, I have a little bit of salt here, and then just table salt. And we're gonna use it for a lot for other stuff. So yeah, let's just pray that my tape is sticky enough that the paint doesn't go underneath. But it's okay if it does, you know, you can fix it easily. Any question, Jack? Any question, Francis?
No, I'm way behind you. My rooster looked a bit stunned, so I had to work on his eye a bit.
Okay. Oh, there you go. See? Yeah, your black is not dark enough, right?
I
You can tell.
know, it's not. I mixed in blue with it, so I'm being, too shy with it.
But that's
I'll
okay.
go over it.
You go
Yeah.
over it, it will just make it even look better if you have undercoats, right?
Right. Okay.
Lovely. Okay, anybody else need to show us? I'm curious now, Jack, as to what kind of books you have back there, because I love books.
I have all kinds of books.
Yeah.
One wall is fiction and the other is nonfiction.
Oh, okay.
It's basically a lifetime collection though.
No kidding. Well, at least you stick to it because, I mean, I gave away a lot of my books because when I was younger and we have to move, every time we move, I said to my wife, I don't want those books. It was heavy. You don't realize when they're sitting on the shelf, but when you put it in the box and you have to carry down 3 steps, 3 flight of stair because we live in a walk-up, it's a lot of walk.
Well, it was hard to move. I have thinned it out when we moved here.
Yeah.
I think there were 8 boxes full of books. I managed to, it was hard to get rid of because a lot of times books are just shredded into paper.
Right.
Because nobody wants certain kinds of older books. But I did find a place to get rid of those books that people were going to go through them and use the books for something.
Yes. I have, as you can see, I have my shelf in the back there. I'm going to turn my camera here. I don't really have a lot. I just have some art books and stuff like that. And I have 2 big giant shelf of, 2, yeah. And it's like 2 sections. So there's like humongous book at the store, when I have my gallery. And we have to move next door. And I just got so tired of because I'm missing a lot of my books because my students were borrowed and then they never returned them. So I got so mad one day and thought, I'll just let them have it. So I sent out a message to all my students. I said, first come, first serve. All my books on the shelf you can have. And you should see they're like vulture. They come in and they just clean it all out. For me, the first few days, I was hurting inside because all these books that I have collected, art books that I really, really love, for so many years. And it was hard to let go. But now, you know what? I don't even think of it. I just say, good, whoever can use it, because for me, it's just gonna sit there, right? And I save a few. I save a few books that I like. And I also have some little books on the top. I'm into, have you heard of a writer or author, Zacharias Sitchin? Not too many people know about him. He writes, he translates the Sumerian texts from various Middle Eastern country. And he spent all his lifetime translating. And of course, there are some people nowadays think that he didn't translate everything correctly. But you know what? You only can translate what you know. And he's a professor at the university. He studies Sumerian culture. And he spent all his lifetime translating all these lovely tablets that fortunately some countries saved during the war. And Germany has a huge collection of it. And England has it too. And so, of course, in the beginning, when they discovered all these tablets, they didn't know what's on it. But over time, the scholars study, and that's how we know more about the Sumerian culture. And if you ever have a chance to read his very first book, it's called The 12th Planet.
Just let me write that down.
Yeah. I just love his writing.
What was
it
his
doesn't
name
matter
again?
if it's real or not, but you sure learn a lot from it, And then sometimes when he translates, he will let you know, question mark. He didn't quite know how to make of it, like many other ancient texts, right? So I'll just show you the first book he wrote in which camera should I use here? Oh, here we go. This is the very first book that he wrote. So Zacharias Sitchin. and then it's called the 12th planet. And what it tells in the story is the beginning of civilization, and it's all translated from the Sumerian culture. And I always said to people, I'm not a super religious person, but by reading these books, then you understand where all the stories from the Bible came from. You know, they all came from the Middle East, more like several thousand years ago, before the Noah's Ark. You can see that the Sumerian culture already talked about the flood and everything. They call it different names. But interesting enough, this book just tells you at the beginning of the civilization and how it evolved. I just find it so fascinating, you know. Anyway, I recommend it because it's a thought-provoking kind of a, you know, book. It makes you think, right? Anyway, if you have a chance, take a look at that. So anyway, what else do I need to show you with this rooster? I'm saving spots so that I can do it again next time. And I sent you the sunset picture, and next week we're going to try doing a little bit, but I think we have time. But I don't want to give you too much. I don't want to give you too much to work on because, you know, I don't want to overwhelm you. So, okay, is that a good idea?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have question about the negative, don't worry, we're gonna go over it again. So I'm just gonna flip this thing over because this seems to be a problem with negative painting. Sometimes you have to do a little practice before you know what's going on. So I'm gonna do a little samples back here. Okay, so make it simple, make it bigger so that you can see how it's going, what it's going. So let's using the grass as an example. It's a perfect example with grass. So you put grass down like that. You know, single, you have all the negative space. It's all this negative space. But the moment you go 2 or 3 and 4, 5, now you have 1, 2. If you join up this part, then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, all this negative space, right? See? So if you go like that, every time you cross something, then you created all this little negative space here. Okay, so the negative painting, this is where it happens. So of course you have to let it dry. Okay, you let it dry first, and this time I'm going to use a slightly different color so that you can see it. So I'm going to use blue. Okay, so it's still a little damp, but that's okay. So now I'm going into the negative space here and I paint. So remember the paint forward thing. So if I do blue here right now, and then when I cut it, when we say cutting, negative painting, divide them out, the grass will be, and behind it, whatever it is, you know, will be, you might like to, okay. It's telling me, okay, here we go.
You froze.
We can't hear you anymore.
You're frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen. Willie's going to get back in. He just texted me, so he probably has to go out and then come back in again.
Okay.
So he should be here pretty quick.
Are you guys done already?
No, trying to get back in.
What did you say, Celia? You said you're. Can I stop recording now?
No, well, hopefully he'll be in quickly. Something must have happened. It's Francis.
Yeah.
Something happened and he had to get out or he lost.
Oh,
Oh, he's messaging me. Hi, Willie.
I'm just gonna turn the volume up a smidge.
Hi, Willie. What's happening? Okay, well, Ruth is here. She's wondering if she should stop recording.
I'm going to.
You can do one cut. So I'm just going to show you one cut. So then you use a darker color doing one cut. So you go, if you want to put another grass or two growing here. So you go one cut, you paint, you skip. Now you have a blade of bluegrass in between, right? Like that. So if you do more than one cut, you can do light color, like this is okay. But if you, some people just want to hurry up and then do simple one cut and final cut, meaning what we call the sign off color, then you use a darker color and black. Here's the difference here. So you see how I use my black color here? So versus the lighter color, right? And then you see how you can continue to the other side, right? And you can skip at any time. You can skip twice here. So now we got two blades of grass growing, and this one continue up to here. So now here you have the two grass are growing this way. Okay, so then you can let it dry, and then with the black color here, this one here, you cannot divide it anymore because this, you know, when you divide it black, you cannot see it. But if you divide a lighter color, yes, you can then see it. So we'll give it a few seconds here for it to dry, and then we'll cut it the other way. So, you know, if still then. So you see how that works? It's, you know, it's really quite simple, really. So you don't want to do, after you do your crossing and stuff like that. And the first thing to do was, I have a student who does that all the time. She wants to do negative painting, but she goes into this negative space and then she used the final color, like a black color, to fill all these in. So that means that you have nothing else behind it, right? You just have grass in front of that dark background. There's no depth to it. And there's, you know, we want it to have a little bit of depth, and sometimes we refer that to the deep space, the deep space area. So you see, if you make it really dark like that, there's just no way you can cut it anymore. But I'll show you in a few seconds what we call a reverse negative. And I would explain this again next week, so don't worry about it, okay? So now here, this one here, it's almost dry, but usually we've let it dry completely. Then I can do second cut. So then I go reverse, not reverse, but I'm going other direction, and I'll go skip this way and go like that, continue to this side. So continue to this side. I can even skip a little one on top. See, so now this piece of grass underneath that light blue will be going sideways, this way. And that colors here is what I put it in after the blue. So it all depends on what color you put on, and usually one is slightly darker, so that we can continue doing this way. So let's go into this one here. So I'm gonna cut this way now. All right, skip, cut, carry it over from this side. And then we can end it this way if you want. So then you can see, right? Then if you want this one to continue, you continue this way. So now you can see there's two growing this way. Does it make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. So you don't go super black. You do light color, and then you go slightly darker, slightly darker. There's an
Yeah.
there's an artist in Edmonton. Her name is Sylvia Blaschko. I don't know if you know Blaschko, Dr. Blaschko. He used to be, I think, a psychiatrist or something in Edmonton, very famous one. And his wife Sylvia was a painter before. I don't know if she's still around. And she is known for this negative painting. And what she does is she, instead of, for me, I like to do 2 or 3 cuts and then call it a day, get it done, over with. But she sometimes go into 10 cuts. That means that you cut something and then you increase the color by very little. Rather than dark color, you increase it by this much, like this, oh, sorry. You increase it by this much, so light, so light, right? So then you can cut it again and again and again. So I'll just give you a little example here. So then what will she do is she'll cut like this, and then she'll go into this little dark area and cut it again, and then go in between and cut it again. So sometimes she actually use a magnifying glass to put in front, so they're using one hair, and then she cuts them negative all the way into it. And I went to one of her show years ago because I kind of know that she's kind of a very amazing painter in some way, but it's not for everybody. I remember talking to her and I said, Sylvia, I said, you have to be nuts to do this. He said, yeah, sometimes, because I mean, when you're starting, and then when you look at the painting, you almost have to use a magnifying glass to see what's happening in between, and it's just like you can tell from a big negative space, you divide it with a few blades of grass, and then you turn into smaller negative space, and then you divide it again, and then you divide it again. Try to do it 10 times, and you can go in so deep into it. And then of course, all the grass and everything is into like that. You cannot cut parallel. Then you don't have any negative space left because you filled out all the space. But the moment you do it sideways, see how you can see through my finger? And those are the negative space. So then the other bottom one will go in a different direction, and then you see that it's just going deeper and deeper into it. So it's an interesting technique, and we're going to use it very simply like that, small one. 2 cuts, it's good now. So now you can see that this part that I filled in, right, with a green. So then I can just take my final color and the black and go in, triangle or whatever you like, skip. And carefully, my brush is kind of dull here. See? Then you get smaller one in between, right? And then you just keep on going. So now you paint this, you think of Sylvia, she goes in, tiny, tiny little one. And she will actually do like tiny little bit. Sometimes I do it once in a while on a smaller scale. And it looks like little spider web, tiny little spider web in there. Because you have to use small brush in order to reach some of these things here. So I won't do that. I'll just take my dark color and go like this. Done, right? And then just go in there with dark green. And because if you have the intention of cutting more, then you don't want to use dark color. You use green, you use blue, you use red, and then later on you can say. So imagine this area. If I were to starting at some point here, I might do that just to show you. I'm going to use yellows and orange, and then you let it dry. And then when I cut it again, then we have yellow and orange grass growing behind this green grass. Does it make sense? Right? Yeah. So that's how the negative works. And it all depends on your personality. I mean, you got to be like her, she just, I don't know, it's just possessed. You got to be possessed to do that.
Obsessed.
Okay? So I'm going to just show you here why we tape this so that I don't usually pull it off before I finish. but I just want to show you. And see, the tape will then come off. You won't take the paint off or anything like that. And then you have this beautiful rooster on the bottom, right? So I'm gonna put it back on because I'm not quite finished with the rest of it yet. And as you can see, what the salt is doing, and unfortunately, it's a little too big. That but it's okay. I'm gonna do the same so that you carry it over to this side, and then I'm gonna do some more grass on here too. So the rest of these are all the same. You're just gonna mix up big puddles of various greens and blues, and then you just cover it all over. And if you have, if you're worried that you might smear some of these things, just take a few seconds to minutes to cover by taping the rooster's tail if you want. Otherwise, if you don't really care, you can just paint close enough. And if it runs a little bit, that's okay. That even makes it even look better. Okay. Okay, so I'm not going to show you anymore. This will keep you busy for a bit. And so, like I said, if you want to print your picture and then you trace it, and paint it as many times as you want. It doesn't really take that long to finish one. And then you can try different colors, roosters and stuff. Okay. So we're all good. Anybody have questions regarding materials or whatever?
Willie, when I look at the rooster, the oil painting, it's got a lot of texture on the white part.
Yes.
Would you use gouache to get that, or no?
You can. I mean, if you want to mix gouache, that means that you paint the entire bottom in almost black.
Oh,
right? Solid black. Then you have to go buy another set of gouache paint and then to paint it, or you can make your own. So, we're just going to stick with the watercolor on this one. If you want to experiment, do a little piece. I know eventually I might do that. Just do it on a little piece of paper, paint it black, and then you mix your regular paint with white paint and let it dry, and then you paint on top of it.
oh, so you can't just do the top under his head is what I was thinking, just that part, not the whole body.
Okay, you mean the back here?
Yeah, no, the under his eyes, sort of the chest part there.
Oh, this part here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think it probably works really well. Even just the paint and pull is already looking nice and soft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't need gouache on that. I
No?
thought that
Okay.
you might like to see the beautiful stroke on the, that's more like a acrylic or oil painting. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so, if I don't like this, I can go over and paint it again and minimize the salt. I just want to show what the salt does. And then it's okay. I mean, I can leave it like that. But yeah, no, I love Rooster. They're always so cute.
It's good.
Green in the tail feathers, it makes it shine.
Yeah, I'll probably just take it out so that I can, just so that you can see better.
That's just a problem with masking. He uses masking.
Oh,
So here, and then of course with masking tape, when you go buy masking tape in the hardware store, they actually have labeled them sticky, not so sticky, very sticky. Of course, in this case for painting watercolor, you can buy them in Delta and they actually sell the very sticky one. So there you go. See, now we don't have to worry about. So if I don't want to tape it again, I'll just continue on the rest of it, just like that.
Very good.
Does
Yeah.
normal masking tape?
Yeah,
work?
just normal, you have to make sure it's sticky. You know how some masking tape, if it's for like painting the wall, they don't make it sticky so that you won't peel off your wall or damage your wall. So those are not super sticky. So when you put it on here and you paint, usually the water will go seep underneath there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried using mastic and liquid masking fluids and stuff, and they harden and I can't get them off the painting.
I know.
So they're ruined.
I have one, this brand new bottle, and you know what you do, Jack? Add some water to it and shake it up a little bit. Just dilute it a little bit.
But I put it on the painting and it
Yeah.
hardened there and it won't come off.
Yeah, right, because that is too concentrated, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so if you add a little bit of water and then you apply it and on a separate sheet of paper, just test it, and you
Right.
see that it will come off better. And
Okay.
also too, you need one of these eraser to take it off if you have put too much on it. You know, this is just a little rubber cement. You know,
Yeah.
I actually found this at the sewing department, you know, in the dollar store,
Right.
and they use it to remove fabric, the residue from fabric and stuff like that. Because it, you know, the masking fluid, if you buy it in the art store, it will cost you a lot of money. But if you buy the sewing department and they call it the fast, is it quick sew, fast sew, quick sew?
Yeah.
You guys, you know, you guys the sewer, you know that.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of material, but it's a lot cheaper. So what they do is they to remove from the fabric, it will be a lot easier to use this thing to rub it because it catches it really well. I know what you mean, Jack. I have one bottle that I've used recently, a brand new one, and oh my gosh, I mean, literally had to use my nail to go in there and dig it out.
Oh, well, I can't even get it off without ripping
Well,
up the paper.
I know, but if you leave it on too long, usually they say, you know, if you leave it on for 6 months, you know, it won't come out. It crystallized.
It wasn't 6 months, but anyway, it was a bad
I
bottle.
know that's what they say, right? But some of mine, I only put in it 2 weeks later. I couldn't get it off.
Yeah.
That's why I
Oh.
try to stay away, you know, from it as much as I can because it just ruined everything.
Well, it did.
Yeah. Anyway, and then I have painting that I do like this one, for example. You know, I do demo and then I'll finish the class and then I don't even finish it. So then if I were to use masking fluid, I would never come back soon enough to get rid of them, you know, and then the whole painting, you put in all the work. And then sometimes I will have to leave that in there because it look kind of yellowish. And then you paint some yellowish color next to it just to blend them together. Okay, are you okay, Celia, there? Yeah,
Yes, I'm fine. I'm very interesting. Thank you.
that's good. That's good. How's everybody else? What about Darlene? You're good? Okay, good, good. So we're almost done here. So what we're gonna do is make sure that you do as much as you can here and then just write down some of the question if you have, right? And Ruth is gonna probably send me, if you don't mind, send me the address of you guys, an email. So then if I have anything, I don't need to bother her. So maybe I should ask
It's
Ruth.
all good.
It's all good, Ruth?
I can do that. Yeah.
Okay, you can do that. So I'll just send it to you and then you can send it to everybody, okay?
Will this recording be posted somewhere?
They
I'll-
will, yeah, Ruth will have to send it to you maybe after today.
Yeah, in an email. I may have to edit it a smidge.
Oh, you can do that.
I don't know. I'll find out.
Because it takes, if I do the 2-hour class and when I have to download, someday it takes up to an hour and a half to download it
Yeah,
Okay.
so
or to upload.
the last time I took, they put it on Google Drive. So you just had to sign into Google Drive